If you enjoy this video, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like what you see on my channel and would like to support me on Patreon, click on the link below. Universal International Pictures would see the benefits of an all-new film format in the 1950s called 3D, which was drawing audiences back into the cinema after a decline in cinema attendance due to the release of television. Universal would release their first 3D feature, the sci-fi It Came from Outer Space, in 1953. Universal in the 1920s, 30s and 40s would be famous for their monster movies. Universal would realise they needed a new monster to draw in new audiences. Creature from the Black Lagoon in 1954 starred Richard Carlson, Richard Denning, Whit Bissell and actress Julie Adams. This was the most famous 3D film of the 50s and was shot in black and white and produced by William Alland and was directed by It Came from Outer Space director Jack Arnold. The idea for the film originated in 1941 at a dinner party where a Mexican cinematographer told producer William Alland about the myth of a race of half-fish, half-human creatures in the Amazon River. This would draw producer Alland's interest, and for 10 years he would write down story notes titled The Sea Monster. His main inspiration was the old story of Beauty and the Beast. In December of 1952, writer Maurice Sim would expand William Alland's notes into a treatment, which writers Harry Essex and Arthur Ross would rewrite into a screenplay and title the script Creature from the Black Lagoon. Before the script was even finished, plans had already been made to leave the creature's fate uncertain at the end of the picture in order to leave an opening for a sequel. Producer Alland thought 3D would be a perfect format to release the film in. After the success of the 3D film House of Wax in 1953, director Jack Arnold was hired to direct. Arnold said his main goal in making the film was to create a sense of dread throughout the movie. He also remarked that it plays upon a basic fear that people have about what might be lurking below the surface of any body of water. He went on to say, "You know the feeling when you are swimming and something brushes your legs down there? It scares the hell out of you if you don't know what it is. It's the fear of the unknown. I decided to exploit this fear as much as possible." Jack Arnold directed such sci-fi classics as It Came from Outer Space, Tarantula, and The Incredible Shrinking Man, and was one of the most successful sci-fi directors of the 50s. Creature from the Black Lagoon would mark the second collaboration between star Richard Carlson, producer William Alland, and director Jack Arnold, and writer Harry Essex. They had worked well together on It Came from Outer Space. Frank Lovejoy was originally cast in the lead, but asked to be let out of his contract to appear in Men of the Fighting Lady for MGM. Disney animator Millicent Patrick and legendary makeup artist Bud Westmore, head of Universal's makeup team, came up with the idea and design of the creature. However, Bud Westmore would downplay Patrick's involvement on the project for many years and take sole credit for the creation. Only in recent years has she been revealed as the other creator of the creature. Millicent Patrick was one of the first female animators at Walt Disney Studios before being asked to design the creature. Jack Keevan, who had worked on a number of films including The Wizard of Oz in 1939, during World War II would create prosthetics for amputees. He created the bodysuit of the creature.
I just feel that Jack Keevan never got the recognition that he should have because he was kind of overshadowed by Bud Westmore.
While Chris Mueller Jr. would sculpt the head. The first design for the creature would be modelled from the Oscar statuette, but this design idea was scrapped. Two different stuntmen were hired to portray the creature, so two different suits were used in the movie. Rico Browning would play the creature when it was in the water, and he would have a lightweight costume designed for him. Ben Chapman would play the creature out of the water, and he would play the creature in a majority of scenes shot at Universal City in California. Incidentally, TV's Gilligan's Island was shot at the lake in Universal City, where Creature from the Black Lagoon was shot. Many of the water scenes were filmed at Rice Creek, near Palatka, Florida. Stuntman Ben Chapman found the Gill Man suit impossible to wear. Chapman would in fact wear the suit on the set for 14 hours a day. He said the suit overheated very easily, so he would sit in the Universal Backlots lake or be hosed down to cool off. The eyepieces in the suit would make it impossible to see.
I was carrying Julie in my arms through this cave, and she was, slung over my arms with her head down. And I couldn't see where I was going, and clunk, I went wide into one of these artificial rocks. And I had no idea what happened. She started kicking, and they were yelling, "Cut!" There's a famous picture that appeared in a newspaper of Dick Carlson, Dick Stenning, myself, Jack Arnold, and a nurse patching her up. We took a couple of hours off, and Julie was ready to go again, put a little makeup on it. But she was a very professional lady.
Rico Browning, who did the underwater scenes, was part of the second unit team, which shot in Recula Springs, Florida. Browning was a professional diver and swimmer and was required to hold his breath for up to 4 minutes underwater. The costume was not designed to have an air tank attached. Director Jack Arnold's logic was that the air would need to travel through the monster's gills and would not reveal air bubbles from the mouth or nose. Rico Browning and Ben Chapman actually never met during the filming, but would meet 20 years later for the first time at a convention. Actress Julie Adams, who would perform all of her own stunts for the film, said she had a very pleasant experience making the film, and said the cast and crew got along very nicely. Adams would swim for long periods in the cold water. This would be one of the most challenging parts in the making of the film. The water tank where Julie Adams shot the swimming scenes was heated, but the crew would sometimes forget to turn the heating on during cold days. The fight scene between the creature, played by Ben Chapman, and Z, played by Bernie Gozzi, was rehearsed over several days. In this fight scene, the creature picks up and throws Z into the camera. This was done for the 3D effect. However, the wires used to lift Z up to make it appear that he was being picked up by the creature kept breaking. After 2 tries, director Jack Arnold decided to just have Z get strangled to death. Director of photography William Snyder creates some of the most amazing underwater shots in film history. Filming was completed in the first week of November. As the film was in post-production, Universal's publicity department designed a series of teaser ads, which helped to prepare the moviegoers for a new type of monster. They selected 7 scenes from the movie to be used in a Viewmaster display cabinet, utilised in theatres throughout the country. Interesting to note that the scientific narration at the beginning of the film would combine both creation and evolution. The score was composed by a number of composers. The uncredited Herman Stein contributed 12 minutes of the score. Stein wrote the main title music, which includes the famous 3-note theme used for the creature. Henry Mancini and Hans J. Salter contributed 12 minutes and 16 minutes to the score. A further 9 minutes was provided by the Universal Stock Music Library. Creature from the Black Lagoon received positive reviews from critics upon its release and is now considered a classic horror film. Prior to the film's release, on an episode of the Colgate Comedy Hour, the creature would make its first appearance. This episode is commonly known as Abbott and Costello Meet the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Creature designer Millicent Patrick was sent on a New York promotional junket to promote the film. She also created the masks used in the film Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The creature with the name Uncle Gilbert would years later appear in an episode of The Munsters. The episode was titled Love Comes to Mockingbird Heights. On February the 12th, Millicent Patrick would take part in the world premiere of Creature from the Black Lagoon. The film opened in 3D widescreen as a special midnight horror show at Butterfield Theatres throughout Michigan. The response was quite overwhelming and would far exceed the studio's expectations. The audience would wear 3D glasses with grey polarizing filters, similar to 3D glasses most commonly used today. The 3D film fad reached its peak in mid-1953 and was fading fast in early 1954. However, with the release of The Creature from the Black Lagoon in 3D, the fad of 3D would last a year or so longer. The sequel, Revenge of the Creature, would also be shot in 3D. The sequel would begin production on June the 25th, 1954. Creature from the Black Lagoon became one of the most iconic films, and the creature became one of the most beloved Universal monsters. Julie Adams said of the creature, "There always is that feeling of compassion for the monster. I think maybe it touches something in ourselves, maybe the darker parts of ourselves, that long to be loved and think they really can't ever be loved." In interviews, Ben Chapman, who played the creature, would often thank the fans for keeping the movie's popularity alive. He believed that if not for loyal fans, The Creature from the Black Lagoon would have been just another long-forgotten monster film. Julie Adams has lightheartedly complained that no matter how well she acted or what roles she had in other films, fans always remember her as Julie Adams from Creature from the Black Lagoon. After the film, Jack Arnold would direct the sequel, Revenge of the Creature, and he would also direct The Incredible Shrinking Man in 1957. Arnold would have a long, successful career in directing TV episodes of science fiction theatre, Perry Mason, and Peter Gunn. He also directed episodes of such television shows as Nanny and the Professor, Gilligan's Island, and Wonder Woman, as well as directing the TV movie Marilyn, The Untold Story in 1980. Jack Arnold directed most of the Brady Bunch episodes. One particular episode would pay tribute to Creature from the Black Lagoon and centered on the Brady boys raiding the Gills' slumber party. In the episode, Bobby Brady is wearing the creature mask. Creature from the Black Lagoon has inspired many films, including Roger Corman's Humanoids from the Deep and the recent Oscar winner The Shape of Water, directed by Guillermo del Toro, which would play more as a love story. Only they went much further, showing a sexual relationship between the woman and the creature. Creature from the Black Lagoon, to me, is not just another old B-grade monster movie. I rate it as one of my favourite monster movies of all time. The film features some amazing underwater scenes, and Julie Adams looks gorgeous in the movie. I also love the creature's costume design. While it may be laughable and not really scary by today's standards, it still holds up today for me. My name's Jonathan. Thanks for watching.